I thought the idea of a 4-day work week was from the 1950s. But when I did my research, I was surprised to learn that it started way earlier than that. In 1926, Henry Ford of Ford Motor Company introduced the 5-day, 40-hour week work week for his employees. It was shocking because most people were working 60 hours a week and 6 days a week. So this was a huge change and set the pace for what might become a 4-day work week. So will AI finally bring us the 4-day work week because it's radically increasing productivity and making life so much better? And actually, I have personal experience with a 4-day work week because in the 90s, when I was practicing law, I worked a 4-day work week and it was fascinating. And I'm going to tell you all about it later. To understand whether AI, artificial intelligence, is going to give us the 4-day work week, we need to take a look at the process and the movement of work weeks and productivity and new technologies in the past 60 years. So increases in productivity by workers because of new technologies and new factories and everything else made workers excited about the idea of a 4-day work week and made management and business owners open to the idea because of new technology, higher output, fewer hours needed per worker to get the same productivity. It looked like something was really going to happen. In fact, John Maynard Keynes, the world-renowned economist, predicted that by 2030, the average worker would only need to work 15 hours a week because of the radical increases in productivity and technology. Can you imagine? Then in the 1960s, with the rapid advances in computers, technology, and automation, led many to believe that we were really on the verge of a 3 or 4-day work week. In fact, in 1965, a US Senate subcommittee on worker productivity and the economy and technology predicted that we might see a 14-hour work week by the year 2000. Now, I don't know about you, but we're well past the year 2000, and most people are still working way in excess of 40 hours a week and 5 days a week. By the 1970s, the 4-day work week actually became a serious corporate experiment with hundreds of companies testing 410s. Now, you're still working 40 hours, you were just working 10-hour days. And there were a lot of reasons for this, including the oil crisis, trying to get commuters to have fewer travels and trips in their cars, and so on. But it became a real idea, and the possibility emerged it might just happen because of increases in technology, tremendous increases in productivity of the American worker, and the other reasons that people wanted to have 3 days off a week, right? But unfortunately, sometimes even with the greatest increases in technology, automation, and productivity, and workers just producing a lot more value per hour of work, something happens to change the game. And in fact, in the late 80s and 90s, we saw the advent of computers in offices and automation and technology really transforming the workplace. And this had a huge impact, as did the idea of profit. And it was this one thing: corporations wanting to make more money. So we hit the Wall Street greed is good era, and suddenly corporations were selling companies overseas, selling the machinery, laying off workers, grabbing their pensions, and doing all of this in the late 80s and 90s. And it became this hyper capitalistic greed engine that decided to take that productivity away from the workers and turn it into profit, but keep the workers working their 40-hour plus weeks, 5 days a week. And the second thing that happened is that people started to be able to work remotely, meaning that you could go home, but the work came with you. How did this happen? It happened two ways. One was the internet, and the second was the mobile phone. So previously, if you left your work at, say, 5:30 or 6 o'clock before the mobile phone, you were done. They couldn't find you. All you had to do was not answer your phone. But in the modern era, with the advent of the mobile phone, your boss can follow you and text you and email you and call you almost at any time, as can your customer, and you know that your competitors are. So it was the mobile phone, and then being able to access the internet and work from home because you have a laptop or a computer at home, or even your mobile phone. So we went from trying to get to a 4-day work week with less than 40 hours, and instead, what we found in the 90s and the 2000s and onward is that that technology, that productivity, all those things didn't actually benefit the worker. Even though the productivity was going up and the profits for corporations were going up, we became chained to our work 24/7, 365. So Is AI and artificial intelligence, that radical increase in technology and productivity, going to finally give us the 4-day work week? Let me tell you, I've actually worked a 4-day work week. In the early 90s, when I was practicing law, I worked for a firm that had 4 days a week that we worked 12 or more hours and then had a 3-day weekend. And I have to tell you, the trade off was pretty good. I was exhausted at the end of 4 days, but I didn't have a mobile phone. And although I had a computer, it didn't connect up to the servers at work. So I couldn't work after I went home, and I couldn't work on my days off and on weekends. So worked 40 hours? No, I worked more like 60 hours in 4 days often. And it was brutal. And I got lots of, lots of stress and lots of hassle, but I had 3 days off, and that was magic. So if you can, think about the idea, what if AI could give us the benefits of a 4-day work week with less hours worked in 1 week? Because you're going to be radically more productive if you're using AI, right? I can get done 3 times the work in a day by using different AI tools than I could without them now. And if the average worker who works with a computer or technology or automation gets to radically increase their productivity like that, shouldn't you be allowed to take advantage of the AI and the automation and artificial intelligence to work less hours, more productivity, and have a 4-day work week? I think the answer is yes, but the research tells us that that might not end up being the case. Historically speaking, for the past 60, 70 years, new technologies and radical increases in productivity always promised us a 4-day work week. But it didn't happen because corporations just couldn't pay workers more and have them work less time. They wanted to take that difference and that money and put it into their stock shares and their profitability. That's what's happened. Now, is AI, artificial intelligence, this time finally going to give us that promised 4-day work week? I don't think so. And the simple reason is this: cost and profits. Right now, artificial intelligence costs and the cost of these companies being built into trillion-dollar companies is radically expensive. And you're going to be forced to use artificial intelligence tools or tools with AI embedded in them so that you can be more productive. But so are your competitors. And so now we're going to get into an arms race between companies that use AI and force their workers to work more and those that don't. And those that don't use AI will not win. It's going to be winner take all because AI gives them so much more productivity and such a strategic advantage over their competitors that they're going to be forced to use it more and more. So the marketplace in business is going to become radically more aggressive and just a lot more complex. And we're going to be forced to work harder and longer, use AI, use your mobile phone, use your laptop, work from anywhere, and compete. And those profits for those who win are going to go to the shareholders and the company's owners, not to the workers, not to you. So now what? What are we going to do? We're getting all this new technology. We've got to do a whole lot of learning and get up to speed and new skills and new technology. We're going to become much more productive. We're going to make a lot more money for the company. How do we do this? What can we do? Well, I think there's 3 things we can do. First, we can go ahead and make sure that we are in communication with the company to say, hey, I'm being more productive. We're all being more productive here at the company. We think that should translate into either higher pay, if that's your goal, or the 4-day work week, which is what everybody really wants, those 3 days off. It's magic. If you haven't had it, you need it. The second thing is maybe a bonus structure. Get paid more or work less hours. One of those 2 things, get paid more, work less hours, because the AI is going to make you 2, 3, 4 times more productive, which means 2, 3, 4 times more money for the company. And the last thing is this: if you're self-employed, then you can use the productivity gains to take your pick, have more money, or get more time off. So it's up to you. If you're self-employed, you work for yourself, you're managing new AI tools, you're learning all these things, there's going to be a little curve, the learning curve at first, but then you can translate that into 4-day work weeks if that's what you want, or into more profitability. Finally, the last thing, doesn't matter if you're a worker or you're self-employed, you can use these AI tools to build a side business or a side hustle if you really want that extra money, or if you want to build yourself out of your day job. Now, not everybody can do it, but what I can tell you is using these tools are going to make you more productive, should lower your stress, even while making you more, more profitable to the company. Let's hope so. I'm all for the 4-day work week. I think it's about time. The quality of life matters. Your life matters. Your ability to enjoy your life matters. And your ability to determine your own future matters. That's why I think AI needs to be turned into a productive tool for creating the 4-day work week for you and for paying you more. Let's see if we can get there.